Hi, everyone. Welcome to another video. My name is Chris Scabatura. I'm here with Dr. Sharif Ibrahim. Have you ever wondered how you can optimize energy? Sharif explained those two main systems, one being primitive and one of them being sophisticated.
Thank you, Chris, for raising this really interesting subject. Yes, there are two systems to make energy in the body. There is a primitive system, which we share with all organisms, including the unicellular organisms like amoeba and bacteria. That is primitive. But we have got a highly sophisticated energy system, which is housed in the mitochondria. And the mitochondria is the energy plants where the energy is made. The difference between the two systems, the first system operates without the need of oxygen. We call it anaerobic. The highly sophisticated system, it requires high amount of oxygen, and it's depending on how good you are in harnessing a good level of oxygen, the system is going to deliver the amount of energy according to that.
Now, you had said before we started the video, I said aerobic. Does that mean that we should exercise for the sophisticated system? And it's not the direct answer, but it is important for us to have a healthier body that can absorb oxygen and utilize it correctly for that sophisticated system.
Yes, I think so. I think it is the original breathing. If you see a child sleeping, then you see the breathing pattern, their tummy goes up and down with the breathing. Unfortunately, we lose this original type of breathing, which is deep breathing that deliver adequate amount of oxygen to our bodies. And now, as adults, most of us, we go into this pattern of shallow, rapid breathing, which is the breathing which is more associated with stress. We need to go back to the original breathing in order to deliver adequate amount of oxygen to improve the energy production in our bodies.
It's funny you mentioned that, Sharif, because way back years ago when I was being trained as a singer, one of the things the vocal coach said, everybody take a deep breath. And all of us, our stomachs went right in and our chest went up and we went, and he says, do you feel like you got a deep breath now? And we're all like, yeah. He says, you did it all wrong. And they had to train us to, like you said, the stomach to rise, the diaphragm to go out, to get that deeper breath and to get true oxygen into our body. And sometime when we start going to school, the brain changes over and we go from a sleeping baby whose belly expands properly to someone who, when they're fearful, they go, and you have no air. It's the same type of breath that we're taking. So it's interesting that you would show that example of taking a deep breath. So Sharif, let's talk about the primitive system and how it works, and then we'll get into the more sophisticated system afterwards.
So the primitive system is just about fermentation of sugar. It's about fermentation of glucose in the cytoplasm, the liquid part of the cell. And it's just like normal fermentation. It's not like the type of fermentation that gives alcohol. No, the fermentation here results in a split of the glucose molecule. Glucose has got 6 carbons. So the glucose 6 carbon molecule is split into 2 pyruvic acid molecules. Each is 3 carbons. So the fermentation gives 4 units of ATPs. But because we use 2 units of ATPs during the process, and we end up having a net result of 2 ATPs out of fermentation of 1 unit of glucose.
So that's the primitive system. And it was interesting because, again, before we got on, we were looking over our notes, and I was astonished at how more significant the sophisticated system works when it comes to ATP. Now, along with the oxygen, the more sophisticated system needs nutrients. So let's talk about the specific nutrients that are needed.
Yes, the sophisticated system, which is going to need quite a lot of stuff. As you said, the oxygen is required in high level. And then you need some nutrients as well. The nutrients include vitamin B, vitamins including B1 and B2 and B3, also magnesium, iron, and zinc for energy making. So 1 unit of sugar will produce a net result of 34 unit of ATPs. So if you can just really comparing the primitive system with the highly sophisticated system, the primitive produced 2 units, the highly sophisticated system produced 34 unit of ATPs for 1 unit of glucose.
Yeah, I put my money on sophisticated systems, 17 times more production. That's a great way to go. So what's important is to understand how this process actually occurs. And I know you're going to be talking about the vitamins, but give us the whole process, and in particular, the need for iron.
Fermentation of sugar in the cytoplasm produces the pyruvic acid. Then you have to get this pyruvic acid entered into the energy cycle, the citric acid cycle. Then the energy wheel is going to turn around and it will produce electrons. All the food you have eaten eventually is going to be reduced down to electrons. And there is an electron systems in the mitochondria, energy plants, and we are in the inner membrane of the mitochondria where the electrons will be harnessed there. You have got something called the electron transport system, say 4 big poles of proteins, and these big poles create electrical gradient, and this electrical gradient will move the hydrogen ions in the direction of making ATPs. So this electron transport system would need adequate amount of iron. I have met so many people in my medical practice who, for no reason, they have got very low energy level. And we do all the tests and all the tests come back as normal. But we do one test, which is iron, and the iron level comes as low. And by the time when we correct their iron level, then they enjoy a much better energy level, and that will transform their life.
Now, as always, Sharif, where do we find the nutrients? And I love how we always seem to gravitate towards real food versus processed food. And that's no exception when it comes to creating energy, right?
Yes, the highly sophisticated energy system would require nutrients, and you find all these nutrients in real food. Real food is nutrient dense and contain all these minerals and vitamins. So eating real food of fruits, vegetables, nuts and seeds and beans is going to help the energy production. On the other hand, eating the wrong food, the high simple sugar and processed carbs, actually these hasn't any nutrients on them, and they're going to rob the body of nutrients. And that is going to make it difficult for the body to find adequate amount of nutrients to produce energy. So I think one thing is to eat the right food, and the other thing is to avoid the wrong food in order to have a robust energy production system.
If you've been following us at all and you've listened to any of our videos, we keep going back to eating real food and getting away from processed food. The other thing to remember is get back to proper breathing. And it's just a matter of placing your hand on the top of your belly and taking a minute and breathing in and having your hand actually rise up. That's better breathing. And then breathe out and let your hand fall. So practice that technique for the breathing, eat some better food, and you'll have a lot more energy. Again, Sharif, as always, thanks for this great information. Thanks to everyone for watching. We'll see you on the next video. Take care. Sharif and I appreciate you liking this video, and more importantly, remember to subscribe to this channel. There's a lot of content that we're going to be creating, and we don't want you to miss a single second of it.